Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Hi, I'm 13 and I wrote this short story anyway. I think it's pretty good. What do you think? https://docs.google.com/document/d/1razoself3lrhb8gh16 krivobau 5 shkinjcjivpuff 31t5a/edit. USP equals sharing. End of story. Next story. My dog passed away, guys. I know this is hard for me, but I really need your support. Yesterday, in the morning, we were eating breakfast. My mom came down and said, "Guys, about Rocky, the dog. She has had diarrhea the whole week. We have been up every night, hearing the sound of Rocky suffering. The whole week, she suffered silently. She's very sick, and we have agreed with the doctor to come and give her a lethal injection." We was shocked. My sister started crying. I supported her. Then my dad came down. "The doctor will come if she has time." My sister started crying more. But I supported her always. When I was at school, it was recess. My sister came up to me and said, "About Rocky. Mom and Dad is getting us home 11:15. Rocky is getting lethal injection 12:30. When we got home, I saw that Rocky had pooped on the carpet. The doctor came a little over time. But when she entered the first syringe, I started crying that I would never see her again. Then she fell asleep. I was crying and crying and crying. When it was time to take the last syringe, I saw a last word. Go and play with Ronya. My granny's dog. I'm begging you." She entered the last syringe. I was so sad. Then she died. Rocky was dead. I was crying. I took a photo before she died, showing my cry. So support me. She has been through my whole life. And I'm just 10. So I really need support. End of story. Next story. Billy on Monday. Billy didn't have his homework, and when the teacher asked him why, he said, "Because a monster ripped it up." After I told him a lie. You know monsters don't exist. And if you don't turn in your homework, no recess you will get. On Tuesday, Billy had a stomachache, and when the teacher asked him why, he said, "A monster took away my dinner. Even my ice cream." Billy, I've told you once before. Monsters are not real. You'll have to wait till lunchtime before you get a meal. On Wednesday, Billy had a bandage, which covered his right eye. When the teacher asked him how it happened, this was his reply. "A monster was running after me when I ran into the door." "Billy, please," the teacher said. "I don't want to hear any more." On Thursday, Billy refused to sit down. And when the teacher asked him why, Billy said, "A monster whipped my bottom. Because I started to cry." "Billy," said the teacher, "this is getting out of hand. And if you continue with these stories, in the corner you will stand." On Friday, Billy didn't come to school. And when the teacher found out why, she said a little prayer to God in hopes Billy would survive. For a monster had beaten Billy and threatened him with a knife. Now Billy lay in a hospital bed, fighting for his life. So teachers, please remember that monsters are for real. Listen closely to kids' stories. A wounded heart you may heal. End of story. Next story. My life story. Sad. Flare hi, my name on this app is Thoughtcatcher and this is my life story. So let's get started. First things first, when I was in the 5th grade, my family discovered that my Dad was cheating on my mom for over a year. They got divorced. It was really hard on me and my sister. Then I moved schools for no reason other than why not. Just so you know, right now I have dyslexia and The school that I switched to specialized in mentally ill kids, and yeah, I liked it there, it was fun. I was semi-popular after school. I hung out with my friends from my other school that I transferred from but that stopped when one of them got cancer. Then it was just me and a few other guys, but 7 I wouldn't hang out with them anymore. I would just try and visit my friend in the hospital. He was so strong. He still lives to this day. But he's quarantined due to coronavirus. A week after my parents got divorced, my dad married the girl he cheated on my mom with. I still treat her like shit to this day. I didn't even finish 6th grade yet, but I had to transfer back to my old school because the school I went to was falling apart, so I had to say goodbye to the friends that I made because my house was 2 hours away from where I lived. I had to take a bus there, and that bus ride was hell. Everyone screamed constantly. I practiced basketball for 2 years straight, 3 hours every day, but dyslexia messes with your muscle memory. I have to work 3 times as hard to actually be good, but I'm still not good. I asked my friends if I should try out. They just sat there and laughed. They don't know I have dyslexia. The only reason I'm saying that I have dyslexia is because my name isn't on here. There's more, but I feel like this is already way too long if you read all of this. Thank you. End of story. Next story. Got drunk with a friend and had a hilarious night. Got really drunk with my best friend and he poured himself a bowl of cereal. He spilt it in the hallway, then started laughing and stumbled into his grandma's room. I started laughing, then heard a series of thuds like he kept falling over or something. I come out into the hallway and see a trail of Captain Crunch leading to his grandma's room. He comes out and the bowl of cereal is now MIA. He sits down in a chair in his room and starts making airplane noises, and each time he does it our gets louder. His grandma comes in to see what all the noise is and he starts laughing, which makes me laugh. So now she's just staring at 2 drunken idiots laughing. She says, "You guys are drunk, go to bed." And turns out the light. Then my friend starts crying for some reason and he goes, "Jalen bro, you just cancelled my dinner." I know there's more stuff from that night I can't remember because we were drunk, but that's the stuff I do remember. End of story. Next story. I wish I am dead right now. I don't have anyone in my life. My parents are not happy with me. I never had any friends. All the friends I had talk to me only because they can use me and leave me when I am of no use. Why is my life so pathetic all the time? I wish I am dead just like that and never open my eyes again. End of story. Next story. The most inspiring 17-year-old I know. Most people are familiar with Oscar Pistorius, the amputee sprinter who aspired to be an Olympic athlete but tragically fell from grace from the murder of his wife. Well, I know a young man with the same disability. His name is Ryan. And I've known him since he was a baby. His father and I have been friends since grade school. And we still live in the same neighborhood. His father, Tom, was proud as hell when brought his baby boy home. Ryan is Tom and his wife's firstborn. They have 3. And he's got a nuclear reactor for an engine. The kid was always active. Played baseball, basketball and his fave, football. His dream was to be an NFL player. Sadly, 5 years ago that dream was ruined. Ryan and his uncle Titus were on their way to the local ball field. They were gonna meet Tom there for some football drills. Titus was one of the groundskeepers, and bent the rules a bit to let them have the field a few hours before it opened to the public. They never made it that day. 18-wheeler swerved out of control opposite side of the road and slammed into driver's side. Titus was killed instantly, and Ryan had both of his legs below the knee pretty much destroyed. From what Tommy said, His legs looked like soggy noodles. Ryan lived, but he had to have both legs amputated below the knee. Tommy and his family were devastated. Not only did he lose his little brother, but his then 12-year-old son, who had such latent potential and gifted athleticism, lost his legs. They weighed all plausible options, but Ryan himself said a wheelchair wasn't one of them, so his doctor suggested prosthetic limbs. He told him the therapy would be intense, but Ryan didn't take a second thought to say he wanted to go through it. And so his journey began. Took about 2.5 years. But he was back upright and walking like the rest of us. But then Tommy told me Ryan said, "I wanna start running again." That required Tom to start looking for new limbs for Ryan. I made the suggestion about the same style limbs Pistorius had. Tommy took that info back to Ryan's doc. They went through the process. And 3 months later, Ryan had fancy-ass new legs. What happened after that is the inspiring stuff. Ryan would dedicate every moment he had to physical fitness. The kid hit the weights, did further therapy to regain the necessary mobility to start running on his new legs. And we was literally off to the races. Over the next couple years, he'd turn his disability into his strength. By 16 he was lean, cut and fearless. With that, "I will not fail" look in his eyes for everything he does. Ryan recent turned 17. And he's literally the fastest bipedal lifeform I've ever seen. Our street is a 1/4 mile road straight down both sides. Since the lockdown the ball field and track are off limits. So Ryan's been doing his running down street. Kid is so fast you can hear his prosthetics whistling though the air as he whizzes by. Tommy's clocked his fastest time down the road at 58.3 seconds. That's significant because the world record is 44.5. Set by a sprinter named John Smith back in the 1971 U.S. Track and Field Championships. They don't do quarter-mile sprints in competition anymore. But the fact that Ryan's fastest time is 14 seconds off the world record, and he's not even fully developed physically, and he's got prosthetic legs, is impressive. Ryan knows if he did break a record, he'd be disqualified because most athletic boards would rule his legs as an advantage, just like they did Pistorius, which I think is total BS. Like Cat Williams said at one of his shows years ago, the dude with no legs has an advantage. Yet they'll let a trans girl compete against biological girls in track and utterly destroy them. Don't wanna go off on a tangent here, but it is a double standard. But anyway, back on course. Ryan jokes about wanting to be the first BKA, below knee amputee, the medical term for his disability, in the NFL. He's smart enough to know it'll likely never happen, but it fuels him to keep pushing himself to be the best athlete he can be. He may never be able to play organized sports again, but fit enough that if his legs were still intact, he'd probably be on the short list of a couple college teams as a prospect. Ryan is my inspiration. Proof that no matter what happens, the human spirit can endure and conquer. I didn't mention any of the jeers and negativity he faced, and still faces. But even that doesn't stop him. The kid's got a heart of gold and a will of iron. Tommy is a Redditor also. OODBX. Happy Father's Day, brother. You're raising a quality human being in my godson. And I couldn't be more prouder to call you my best friend. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.